Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, pouring your coffee, and sitting down at your kitchen table, only to find a photograph online of your hallway. Your hallway. Taken last night, in the dark, while you were sleeping just one room away. Now imagine that photograph is one of hundreds. That someone has been doing this for years. And that no one, not the police, not the FBI, not the thousands of internet investigators who tried, has ever identified who was behind it. This is the story of the Hallway Project. And it is, to this day, one of the most deeply unsettling mysteries the internet has ever produced. In late 2011, a link began circulating on the more obscure corners of the internet, first on private IRC channels, then on certain boards frequented by hackers and security researchers. The link pointed to a Tor-hosted site, meaning it existed on the dark web, anonymized and virtually untraceable. The site had no name at first. Just a simple black page with a grid of photographs. No text. No about page. No contact information. Just images. Every single photograph depicted a hallway. An interior hallway of a residential home. Some were narrow apartment corridors. Others were the wide, carpeted hallways of suburban houses. A few showed the cramped passages of older farmhouses, with wood-paneled walls and low ceilings. The photographs were taken in near total darkness, illuminated only by what appeared to be a single, low-powered light source, possibly a small flashlight or the dim glow of a phone screen. The angles were low. Intimate. As though whoever was holding the camera was crouching. Moving carefully. Trying not to be seen. There were no faces in the photographs. No people at all. But there were signs of people everywhere. A pair of shoes by a door. A coat draped over a banister. A child's toy on the carpet. And in several of the images, if you looked carefully at the far end of the hallway, you could see it, a door, slightly ajar, with darkness beyond. The implication was suffocating. Someone was in those rooms. Sleeping. Unaware. The site updated regularly. Every few days, a new batch of photographs would appear, always between 3 and 7 images at a time. By early 2012, the collection had grown to over 150 photographs. By the time the site went dark in 2014, that number had swelled to an estimated 411. 411 hallways. 411 homes. 411 nights where someone entered a stranger's house and stood in the dark, breathing the same air as the people sleeping just feet away. The internet, predictably, took notice. A thread appeared on a popular online forum in March 2012, posted by a user who claimed to be a cybersecurity analyst. The post was titled simply, "Someone is breaking into houses across America and photographing them." The thread exploded. Within days, it had thousands of replies and had been cross-posted to dozens of other forums and social media platforms. Some dismissed it as an art project. Others called it a hoax, staged photographs of the creator's own home or the homes of willing participants. But then people started looking closer. And that's when things got disturbing. The first thing investigators noticed was the sheer variety of the homes. These were not the same house photographed from different angles. The wallpaper changed. The flooring changed. The architecture changed. Light switches were different models. Door frames were different heights. One image showed a hallway with a distinctly 70s-era orange shag carpet. Another showed sleek modern hardwood. A third showed the industrial tile of what appeared to be a low-income housing unit. These were unquestionably different locations. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. The second thing they noticed was the metadata, or rather, the complete absence of it. Every photograph had been meticulously scrubbed. No camera model. No timestamp. No GPS coordinates. Whoever was behind this understood digital forensics and had taken deliberate steps to prevent identification. This was not the behavior of a casual hobbyist or an artist seeking attention. This was someone who understood they were committing crimes and intended never to be caught. But the absence of metadata didn't stop investigators. It only made them more determined. And over the next 2 years, a loose collective of online researchers, amateur forensic analysts, and true crime enthusiasts would undertake one of the most remarkable pieces of open-source investigation the Internet has ever seen. What they found is what elevates the Hallway Project from disturbing to genuinely terrifying. Here are the 5 things that no one has ever been able to explain. First, the route. One of the earliest breakthroughs came from a retired surveyor who noticed something in the photographs that others had missed, not in the hallways themselves, but through the windows. Several of the images, despite being taken at night, showed faint details through hallway windows or glass doors. A distinctive water tower. A neon sign reflected in glass. The silhouette of a grain elevator against a moonlit sky. Using these environmental clues, combined with architectural analysis of the homes themselves and, in a few cases, distinctive regional details like utility company stickers on electrical panels, investigators began to geolocate the photographs. One by one, they pinned them to real towns. And when they mapped those towns, a pattern emerged. The locations formed a route. A long, spiraling route that began in western Ohio, curved down through Indiana, swept across Illinois, arced through Iowa, dipped into Missouri, and then spiraled back inward through smaller and smaller towns, tightening like a coil, until the final cluster of photographs appeared to originate from a handful of communities in central Kansas. The route was not random. It was deliberate. Planned. It spiraled inward like something being drawn toward a center. Second, the timing. When investigators cross-referenced their geolocated photographs with the upload dates on the site, they discovered something chilling. The photographs were uploaded in geographical order. The earliest uploads corresponded to Ohio. The latest to Kansas. Whoever was doing this was moving. Traveling. Following that spiral in real time across years. They weren't uploading old photographs from a collection. They were documenting a journey as it happened. A journey that lasted approximately 3 years. Third, the entry method. This is what disturbed law enforcement consultants who were eventually shown the archive. In none of the photographs is there any visible sign of forced entry. No broken locks. No jimmied windows. No damage of any kind. In several images, you can clearly see the front or back door of the home in the frame, and it appears to be intact, properly closed, and undamaged. The implication is one of 2 things: either the photographer was picking locks with extraordinary skill, or the doors were already unlocked. Given that many of the locations were identified as small, rural Midwestern towns, the kind of places where, even today, people don't always lock their doors, investigators lean toward the latter explanation. And somehow, that's worse. The idea that this person specifically targeted communities where trust was high. Where people felt safe. Where an unlocked door was a sign of neighborliness, not vulnerability. Fourth, the objects. In approximately 30 of the 411 photographs, something is different. Something has been added. In these images, sitting on the hallway floor, positioned precisely in the center of the frame as though placed there for the photograph, there is a small object. In some cases, it's a coin, always face up, always heads. In others, it's a small, smooth stone. In 2 photographs, it appears to be a folded piece of paper. In one particularly unnerving image, it's a single baby tooth. These objects do not appear to belong to the homes. They appear to have been brought in and left behind. Deliberately. Like offerings. Or signatures. No one has ever determined what, if anything, these objects signify. But their placement, always centered, always deliberate, always facing the camera as though meant to be documented, suggests ritual. Suggests meaning. Suggests a mind operating according to a logic that only it understands. Fifth, and most disturbing of all, the final photograph. The 411th image, the last one ever uploaded to the Hallway project before the site went permanently offline in August 2014, is different from all the others. It does not depict a hallway. It depicts a room. A bedroom. The camera angle is the same, low, slightly tilted, shot in near darkness with a faint light source. But instead of an empty corridor stretching away from the lens, the image shows the foot of a bed. And in the bed, barely visible in the darkness, there is a shape. A human shape, beneath blankets, clearly asleep. The photograph is slightly blurred, as though the photographer's hand was trembling. Or as though they were breathing hard. This is the only image in the entire archive that shows a person. And it was the last one. As though 3 years of walking through strangers' hallways had been building to this. As though the hallways were never the point. As though they were a practice. A progression. A process of getting closer. The site went dark after that image was uploaded. The Tor address became unreachable. No mirror appeared. No successor site was ever identified. The Hallway project simply ended. And the person behind it disappeared as completely as they had arrived. In the years since, there have been numerous attempts to identify the photographer. The FBI was reportedly made aware of the archive, though no public statement was ever issued. Several of the geolocated towns were contacted by independent researchers, and in at least 3 cases, residents confirmed that they had experienced unexplained signs of entry during the relevant time period. An interior door found open that had been closed, a kitchen light switched on overnight, a family dog that barked frantically at 3 in the morning for no apparent reason. But no one ever reported seeing an intruder. No one was ever arrested. No DNA was recovered. No fingerprints. Nothing. Some have theorized that the Hallway project was an elaborate piece of conceptual art, a commentary on privacy, security, or the voyeuristic nature of the internet itself. If so, the artist has never come forward to claim it, which would make it perhaps the most committed performance piece in history. Others have suggested it was a coordinated effort by multiple individuals rather than a single person, pointing to the logistical difficulty of traveling across 6 states over 3 years while maintaining a consistent photographic style. But forensic photography analysts who examined the archive noted that the angle, height, light source, and compositional tendencies were remarkably consistent, suggesting a single individual with a distinctive and unchanging method. And then there is the darkest theory. The theory that no one wants to say out loud but that lingers beneath every discussion of the Hallway project like a shadow under a door. The theory that this was preparation. That the spiraling route, the years of practice, the slow escalation from hallways to bedrooms, that all of it was the preamble to something else. Something that happened after the site went dark. Something that we may never know about, in a small town in central Kansas, in a house where the doors were never locked, where someone slept peacefully on an August night in 2014, unaware that the hallway outside their bedroom door was no longer empty. There is one final detail that I have not yet mentioned, because I wanted you to sit with everything else first. In 2016, a user on a true crime forum posted that they had managed to recover a cached version of the site from an old Tor relay node. Most of the data was corrupted. But they extracted one thing, a fragment of text, buried in the site's source code, invisible to anyone visiting the page normally. It was not a name. Not an address. Not a confession. It was a single sentence, repeated 47 times in the code, hidden behind the photographs like a whisper behind a wall. I just wanted to see where you sleep. The Hallway project has never been solved. The photographer has never been identified. And somewhere in the American Midwest, in every small town along that spiraling route, there are people who slept through the night, who woke up in the morning and went about their lives, who never knew that someone had stood in their hallway in the dark, close enough to hear them breathe, and then moved on to the next house. And the next. And the next. Until they didn't. What do you think happened after the site went dark? Was this art, obsession, or something far worse? And what do you think was waiting at the center of that spiral? Leave your theory below.